The cigarettes and coffee thing are the staples of the alcoholics, right?
Yeah.
A lot of AA
Red
people
Bull.
enjoy those cigarettes and they enjoy those coffees. But in their eyes, but in their eyes, they feel like they've got the alcohol part under wraps now because this stuff just kind of keeps them going, and this stuff is not ruining their life.
Right.
I get it.
A lot of alcoholics use cannabis the same way, and that's not really accepted by AA. So I know a lot of people who have kicked their alcoholism by moving more towards cannabis, but again, within the AA community, that they don't like that. That's still considered a drug. So,
but you can get addicted to anything. Whether it's porn or Big Macs or weed, you can get psychologically addicted to anything. But
Jamie, didn't the guy who created Alcoholics Anonymous, didn't he have positive experiences with LSD?
That'd be funny.
that would be
I feel like he did.
Acid's the only thing you're allowed to take, guys.
Well, I feel like that was something that happened, like maybe even after. Well, I don't want to speak out of school. Yeah? Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what the fuck?
well, that's why the government needs to lift testing on a lot of things, so we know.
Scroll that up, please. Alcoholics Anonymous founder believed LSD could cure alcoholism. Wow.
Well, you're seeing so much research now in psychedelics that clinics are opening up. There's a clinic in LA for ketamine,
Wow.
and you're seeing MDMA clinics opening up.
Look at this. What most of them do not realize is that the program's co-founder, Bill Wilson, credited the psychedelic drug LSD for alleviating his alcoholism and believed the drug could be used to treat others as well. Holy shit. So those friends of Bill, they didn't get all the information.
It's kind of like
You're
the mushrooms.
friends of Bill if you're in the Alcoholics Anonymous, right? That's what they call themselves? Like friends of Bill, that's like the code?
Bill W.
But they didn't get that experience.
It's kind of like the mushrooms and quitting cigarettes.
Yeah.
But do you think they tell them?
I never heard this before today.
How could you not tell these people? Wilson first began experimenting with LSD in Los Angeles at the Veterans Administration back in 1956. But after taking his first hit of acid, he realized that it was not the aspect of terror that could help remedy alcoholism, but rather the insight one could attain from stepping into a world of simulated insanity. Whoa. Wilson believed that using the LSD could help the alcoholic discover a power greater than ourselves that, in turn, could restore us to sanity. However, he was adamant that using acid to combat the demons of alcoholism was not something that one could expect from a single dose. He's like, more research is required.
And snacks.
Wow. That's interesting, man. That's interesting.
Yeah, psychedelics, I think, as we experiment with them, like medically, are going to reveal some secrets
Okay,
to
but
our
this guy's a heavy duty tripper. As they're going further down, he was tripping with Aldous Huxley. Like this guy, this isn't like one experience he had. Interesting. There's documentation that indicates Wilson was involved with many supervised LSD trials, including some with psychologist Betty Eisner and Brave New World author Aldous Huxley, which led him to believe that the visions and insights given by LSD could create a large incentive, at least in a considerable number of people. Huh.
And
So this
Huxley
was-
was like a leader in psychedelics.
They left this out of the AA pamphlet.
How could they leave this out? That's crazy, because this seems like this had to play a major part in this guy's ability to kick alcohol.
Well, it seems like every major religion also left out the psychedelics that probably created them as well. So I think, you have... I think a lot of times you got to leave out the stuff that you think people aren't going to follow you for.
Wait a minute, you saying Alcoholics Anonymous is a religion?
Well,
Is that what you just said?
Cult.
You son of a bitch. I can't even believe you, Gino. I thought we were friends. That is really wild, man. That's really interesting stuff. But it totally makes sense that it could help you kick an addiction. That totally makes sense, because the stark contrast between being intoxicated on it and what it feels like to be normal, and this rethinking, like a reset button. That's what all the psychedelics provide that's like really beneficial, besides being fun. they all provide that reset that takes you so far out of who you are right now that when you come back, you go, man, am I doing this the right way?
Right.
You know, now that I'm back to sober reality, do I need to refocus? Do I
A
need
disconnection from your like own ego.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
You know, and you have the organization MAPS. You had the guy from MAPS on the podcast who's that does the psychedelic research. I forgot what.
Rick
MAPS,
Doblin?
Yes. So just recently, they got authorized from the federal government to start doing research on cannabis for the first time. The federal ban was lifted, and it was because of MAPS that they were able to get that. They were the first ones granted that federal research on cannabis. So it's in very similar ways. We need to do research on LSD. We need to do research on psilocybin, because there could be medical effects that, just like cannabis, we're just denying because of years of this is the way it was. They're bad. They're bad.
Jamie,
Right.
put that back up. That quote about Bill. This is crazy. Look at this. It says, unfortunately, LSD made its way into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous simply because others in the hierarchy did not support it as a viable treatment. In fact, a document published in 1984 by Alcoholics Anonymous World Services in New York explained that the reason the program does not endorse the use of LSD as word of Bill's activity, this is all in quotes, as word of Bill's activities reached the fellowship, there were inevitable repercussions. Most AAs were violently opposed to his experimenting with a mind-altering substance. LSD was then totally unfamiliar, poorly researched, and entirely experimental, ... and Bill was taking it, end quote.
Like boner pills.
They were scared. They were all scared that this guy was tripping. That's hilarious. So they didn't want to include it, even though the founder of the program found it massively beneficial.
And it's almost ironic that if AA
He was
users...
trying to put it in there, and they kicked him out, basically.
Really?
Yeah, that's what this
Where's
is
this
right
up here? Oh, yeah.
He's getting a
Look
lot
at
of
that.
resistance, so he had to step
He
down.
was chastised for his
Wow, that's hilarious. Isn't that crazy? Because Terrence McKenna attributed this quote to Timothy Leary, but Timothy Leary said he never said it. So nobody knows exactly who said it. But that LSD causes violent reactions to people who have never tried it.
What?
Well, that's
Yeah.
very interesting.
The people that haven't tried it are the ones that are freaking
right.
out.
I get it.
Not the
I
people
get it.
who were on it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think LSD, though, for real, can solve anything? I've done it maybe over 200 times, and
You might not be the best example.
Wow.
Well, also, when you were taking it 200 times, a lot of that was recreational, not...
But I'm sure there was small little things that I was probably going through that I could have used LSD to help me. Like as an example, I took LSD once after a big breakup. Did it help me get through that breakup? No, it did nothing for my breakup. Or
Were you
in my
concentrating
feelings.
on it to try to use it that way, or... that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's also gonna go with your own intention, probably.
Yeah, but it's not. It doesn't work for you. It's not like, hey, Kate, clean up my life. I'm gonna take some acid. Just
Right.
No, you got to do the work yourself.
I just don't
like
see
it represents what all these psychedelics, like the good experiences and the bad experiences, represent what's the state of mind when you go into them. That's why the people that take it like really seriously and they go through this all meditative ritual, and they'll do yoga and they'll do breathing exercises, and they'll set like a tone to whatever they would like to go into this experience with, and say that they're going into the experience open and humble, and say all these things out loud, and then they enter into the psychedelic trip. Like they do it that way because they want to set like an intention. If you just broke up with a girl and you take acid, you like really think acid's gonna fix anything because it didn't help me when I broke up with my girl. Like that's really what you're saying.
But you could also be like, hey, I want to quit smoking, take acid, being like, what happened? Did you quit smoking? And like, I focused on cigarettes, and then the whole place melted, and then my hand turned into a bunch of snakes. So no, I still want cigarettes.
But again, it's not you don't really want to quit. If you wanted to quit, you would just quit.
Right. But I don't think the acid has anything to do with
Doesn't help you. It's not going to just decide for you. Like it depends on what's the intention that you go into taking any psychedelic, whether it's mushrooms or whatever. What's the intention that you go into this trip with? And you can't think like acid doesn't work because it didn't help me quit smoking. Like you didn't help you quit smoking. Like these are decisions that you make.